Well, I'm already recording, so we can't include that.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm just not even here.
Don't bring in...
It's okay if you want to say something.
Don't bring up any of those edgy memories of us on the trampoline. Anymore.
The time that we played football?
That was so pathetic. It was like 6 feet. No, not 6. About like 8 feet. 8 feet of trampoline and you're playing football.
I know.
Where did we get that idea? Why didn't we play it like on the grass?
It was probably Will.
Will wasn't there, remember? He wasn't there when we were playing football on the trampoline.
I don't think Will would have done that.
I'm pretty sure he was there.
Maybe he was a ref.
He was under arrest?
Maybe he was ref.
Why don't I know about this?
He's in the news, Jack.
I need to check my news network.
It's CNN, not Fox. You won't find it on Fox.
We were trying to get our sound working for it wasn't an hour, it was half an hour. But I hope you know, guys, how much this was fought for, and our audio is working now, so you can listen to this episode. Here today, I have with me every single episode I say, we have a very special guest. Are there some guests that just aren't very special? Or just some guests that are special and then some that aren't special at all? Maybe we should have like a ranking, like a tier ranking. Maybe like your Patreon status. Like if you're a member of the Patreon. So you're not a member of the Patreon though. So we have a guest. We have a guest with us today.
Oh wow, that hurts.
Samantha Butler. She's in South Texas as well. I can't lie to you guys. Oliver is right next to her. He's right here. Say hi, Oliver.
Hi, Jack.
But he's not telling me what to say.
I'm just
definitely.
I'm just the tech guy on our end. I'm trying not to be on it.
Yeah, Oliver's very technological. But yeah, she's also my cousin and their siblings. If you haven't put that together yet. But today we are talking about government surveillance. When the podcast was The Forge, Samantha emailed me and brought up the topic of like what boundaries does people like the CIA and NSA have and standards on monitoring people. And we're doing this topic right now. So the CIA and NSA and Edward Snowden. And when you emailed me, I had no idea who Snowden was. I'm like, oh yeah, Snowden, that guy. But yeah, so what is surveillance and why do governments use it?
Well, I would say that there are really two different kinds of surveillance. One is obviously the more physical side. So like the FBI, I looked into it, has a role, a surveillance specialist, which sounds super cool, but it's, what you see in the movies, people following people in cars and with their camera, whatever. But the other surveillance that we're going to be talking about, I think, is a lot more technical, and it's about tracking activity, keystrokes, and monitoring. Well, the question is, are they monitoring domestic activity or just foreign? And obviously, it's to collect intelligence to prevent terrorism.
In the movies, you're always seeing they're in these rooms and they're like, oh yeah, we can hack into this guy's phone, see what he's doing. But I've just always wondered, what capabilities do they actually have? The Bourne movies with Matt Damon and Mission Impossible and pretty much any movie that is realistic. And I just think that they added a lot of stuff that governments really can't do, especially the United States. But that's what we're here to cover today. What capabilities does the government have in surveillance, and do they use them as much as we think that they do? We'll see you after this. Okay, we're back. I told Oliver he can talk, but then he interrupted me, so I've always been wondering, I think everyone at least knows in general what the CIA is, the Central Intelligence Agency, but what is the NSA? Sounds like a transportation system.
Yeah. So the NSA is, it's like the CIA, but it is more interested in signals intelligence, is what they call it, which is basically tracking electronic signals. So it's basically more interested in protecting the networks and cybersecurity domestically. And the CIA is more focused on foreign intelligence and also human intelligence, basically.
So the NSA is the more creepy one.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, do you know how long the CIA and NSA have been around? I mean, the NSA sounds more recent, but I mean, they could have just maybe hid it from us. And that's another thing I want to touch on. Are there any secret agencies that we don't know about?
That is a good question. Well, obviously the IMF, that's definitely out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I don't know much about the history of them. I've definitely been aware of the CIA longer than I have the NSA.
Right. So, yeah, and I do agree that the CIA is more common just because in Hollywood, in most movies and shows, I feel like a lot of people's information comes directly from that, and everything is on the CIA, and not. I do believe some things mention the NSA, but it's just not that well known. Because the CIA is more like field, like you think Mission Impossible, where they're running around shooting and tailing somebody with mics, and then like what I said, being in the field. But like you said, the NSA is more electronic based, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the CIA is definitely more exciting looking.
Yeah, I guess we'll just finally get into it. But like you think in, have you ever seen The Truman Show?
Yes.
Where they're like, and then he starts to find out that he's on a TV show, and then he hears the radio of him telling him where he's going and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've always wondered, does the government have the capability to track you? Is someone secretly tailing you everywhere you go? Are there hidden cameras? Some guy had this crazy theory that, well, I'll just say it right now. It was my youth pastor. He didn't actually believe it. He said that in COVID, it was when they had everyone in quarantine, it was basically just an excuse to grab all of the birds, and the birds were basically cameras that surveillance does. And during quarantine, they took them, put the batteries back in them, and let them go because they ran out of batteries. I don't think he claims that idea, but if you do, Jordan, I guess it's out there. You're going to become some sort of internet phenomenon, and then you're going to be famous
or get arrested
because it's an actual thing. But have you ever seen Sue Thomas FBI, where they're like they pretend to be, because they're in New York, DC, they pretend to be like homeless people, and then they have the secret cameras.
Yeah.
Just have you looked into that?
Yes, I have, and I think a lot of what is portrayed in that show is that, or the big issue is that there are 5 or 6 people that do everything. I mean, realistically, what they do is a lot more. They have specialists for each thing, and I think a lot of it is realistic, but not that aspect. Not that the same person that's on the computer sometimes goes out and performs raids.
But I'm saying, do they have people that go out on the streets and surveillance people with secret cameras, and they have a bug in their ear? And are there actually people that are behind the scenes watching them?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I was at a conference one time where there was a speaker, and I know we're not talking about the CIA right now, but he was a former CIA officer, and somebody asked him what his favorite, what's the word? Really cool piece of technology.
Nice.
What's the word?
Electronic invention?
No.
Let's just go with cool piece of technology.
Okay, yeah. What was his favorite cool piece of technology? And he said that it was a belt buckle that shot a bullet. Now, I really butchered that, but a lethal belt buckle is basically what it is.
Huh.
So I think that they do have things that we don't know about. And so, yeah, I think a lot of that is accurate.
Well, here we go. We got this guy from Legacy Collectibles. You guys can't see this. So what a lot of these secret gadgets that you see are in books and stuff like those DC books that you've seen. They're those gadgets and little pieces that contain different stuff and hidden cameras and bullets, and like you were saying about the belt buckle, all of that I think was like from World War I and II. Like the belt buckle that was used in World War II against the Nazis.
Oh wow!
So
I didn't know
a lot of this stuff was used when all of the spies were going out during the World War I and II era in the early 1900s. So do they still use that today? Because currently we are not at war, but we could be surveillancing countries like that. But if we were, we might just not know about it. Because I think we've focused on the government surveillancing us, but what kind of things do you have going on in other countries? We mentioned before the episode Project Merlin under the which one was it? Clinton administration. They initiated a project called Project Merlin, and what they at that time, all the Iranians, and they were having like a nuclear project, testing nuclear weapons and trying to make them. And then the United States was like, well, we can't have this. And so they had an idea to send fake designs of nuclear components to the Iranian officials. But what happened was the Russian scientist that was supposed to be giving the designs to the Iranian officials, he caught them, and no one really knows because the Russian scientist was hired by the CIA, so he was kind of their ally. But what he was supposed to do was just deliver the files. He was never supposed to look at them, but what he did, he opened the files and found out that they were flawed, but he never told the CIA about it. So when he gave the files to the Iranians, he told them that they were fake, and what that actually did was sped up the process of them making nuclear weapons, and that's just an example of things backfiring. But the main point is that we weren't really at war at that time. I mean, I guess it was not the Cold War, the War on Terror, but I feel like technically we're always kind of in that kind of setting. I mean, there's always something going on in the Middle East. And Project Merlin wasn't revealed until like 10 years later. So something like that legitimately could be going on. And I'm not saying it's bad and the government shouldn't be doing it. I think some of the reasons they have are ethical. But I'm just saying that is very possible that there are secret projects going on right now that have to do with foreign powers that we just don't know about.
Yeah, I think and I think there is a lot going on right now, but I think a lot of what the government is doing is preventative. And so there isn't a war now, but I think they're trying to prevent another one from even starting. So I think that's what Operation Merlin was really all about.
Are there any other operations that you can recall that have been revealed that were kind of like, that was even, like you didn't even know that was even happening? The only thing I can think of is Project Merlin.
Yeah, I can't think of any like that. Before Operation Merlin was super unique, I think. But I do have some more information on that I found was really interesting, if you want to hear about that. Something is that one of the people involved in the leaking of that information was Jeffrey Sterling. He was an agent for the CIA, and he was, like I said, a big part of releasing that information. And so some people obviously see him as an American hero. I think he went to jail for prison for about a year. So there's some debate there whether he was in the right or in the wrong. But I found some interesting history on him that said that he had applied for a higher position, and he was denied that position. And so he got upset and claimed that there was some discriminatory action because he was African American. So I think it's interesting that happened shortly before he decided to reveal all this information about Operation Merlin.
Yeah, it definitely probably had something to do with vengeance, or at least what he thought the American government did to him. But Project Merlin is, like you said, a very unique example, and it totally backfired on the United States. But I feel like we're a lot more careful nowadays. I mean, the Russian scientist was hired by the CIA, but I don't think he was an American citizen. He didn't directly work for the government. That was a very flimsy thing that they did. And I'm not saying that I'm some CIA agent and I know all the things, or maybe I am and I'm just not telling you. But what things did Edward Snowden reveal?
Well, so there are a few different programs that the CIA or the NSA uses to collect intelligence. One is X-Keyscore, and that program is what he revealed. Basically, it's a secret computer system, and the interesting thing is that it's been shared with our allies, specifically Australia, but it's one of those that collects information from internet platforms such as Google or Facebook. And that's what he was worried about and concerned about, was that the CIA or NSA was conducting surveillance on citizens.
Right, but we have no proof of that.
Well, he did reveal X-Keyscore, so there is proof of that. And the NSA, or I keep changing it up, but he was a CIA agent, I believe. So they fired him, and now he's living in Russia. So I think there was some truth to what he was saying.
So what he did was reveal these government projects that were being conducted by the CIA and NSA. And some think he's a hero and that he did all these good things and revealed this stuff to the American people. But I think even if it's surveillance on the American people, it should still be kept private, because these operations were kept secret for a reason. And they're not trying to surveillance us because they think we're criminals. They're trying to surveillance and catch the people that actually are criminals and actually are hurting our country. So I think this would sum up why they would do surveillance like this. Is it's not, the surveillance isn't for us, it's to protect us. And what they do isn't to catch us and try to throw us in jail. It's for actual criminals and people that we probably don't even know about, that they're protecting us from. But where do you think that people or the government should cross the line on surveillance? I mean, because we don't even know all they do. We brought up wasn't an illustration, but the theory of the birds during COVID. I absolutely do not believe that. But what things do we just not know about it, or is it just all in our head?
I think that a lot of what we do is not necessarily monitored, because that would imply that they're like sitting in a chair at a desk watching everything we do while we do it. But I think something that we don't realize is that, we're so worried about our own government conducting surveillance on us, but I honestly think we should be more worried about China conducting surveillance on us through these drones and balloons and Apple, so I think they do have all of that intelligence and they can access it. But I think a lot of where our privacy is breached is on China's end and foreign nations.
Just not specifically on China, but the countries in Asia, and we might not even know about it, but some other countries might be surveillancing us, and it might just not be. It might not be the American government, but I think that if foreign countries were to surveillance the United States, they would kind of focus on the government and seeing what they're doing. It's not like China wants to know what we're eating for breakfast. I think they want to know about secret operations and what we're building and how we'll prepare for war.
Yeah.
And not that we're going to war, I don't think, but just stuff that actually would relate to China. I don't think they're surveillancing us directly. I think if they were surveillancing us, they would be trying to get info from places like the CIA and NSA and the FBI and the DOD and the Pentagon and the military. And I can name all of them if you want me to, but they're surveillancing and finding out information about the government, not us. And that's an interesting topic about the drones in New Jersey, because the balloon that Biden didn't shoot down but shot all those other ones. I actually don't know much about it, but it was definitely China's. We know that. I don't really know what they were trying to do, but the drones in New Jersey, we still don't know much about that, do we?
I don't know much about that. I've just heard about drones by the coast over the ocean, and then the main balloon that I heard, I think it was in Montana, wasn't it? And it went over some sort of military base. I'm not really caught up on.
Okay, I'm going to play this. It's a briefing about the drones by the United States press secretary that Trump appointed, but it's just a briefing about the drones in New Jersey.
I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office from President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
There we have it. That's the answer directly from Trump, apparently. And so the drones were conducted by the FAA for just, I don't think it was surveillance, just tests and stuff. But the FAA is a U.S. agency that regulates civil aviation and space transportation. The FAA's mission is to ensure safe, efficient, and environmentally responsible air travel. So it's basically just another government agency or corporation. And I don't know if they're running tests or what, but at least we know now that it was conducted by a government agency and it wasn't a foreign country or somebody spying on us. I didn't actually know we had that answer, and I don't know when that was. It had to be in the last 3 weeks, obviously. January 28th. But when did the drone thing happen? It was in December, right?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
So if it happened in December, then why didn't the Biden administration reveal it?
Well, obviously the FAA was being secretive about it for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what their research was for, to see how we would scare.
I don't think so.
That's interesting.
But I
don't know. What's your theory?
I really don't know exactly what they're doing, but I feel like we will know soon. Obviously, Trump's big vision is to empower government transparency, and I believe that we'll know more about that soon and what the FAA was doing in New Jersey with those drones. But I don't think it's anything to worry about it. Agencies like that, I think, run tests all the time, especially when it has to do with aviation. But one of the biggest disputes and conspiracy theories in the U.S. is Area 51 and the incident in Roswell, New Mexico. I don't think a lot of people know about this, but in the 1990s, I believe, don't quote me on that, but the government revealed a project conducted by the U.S. Air Force. It was called Project Mogul, and they released information about it throughout the 1990s. It wasn't just a direct thing. But what Project Mogul was during the Cold War era, or in World War II, they were using these balloons, which was what they thought was the UFO, and they were using them to conduct tests and try to pick up signals from nuclear machines. So what they thought was the UFO that landed on that rancher's property was just a balloon to surveillance nuclear signals. That was secret at the time because of that time in the United States history. But in the 1990s, it wasn't. So I feel like stuff like this about the FAA and the drones over New Jersey may just be something that we know nothing about yet, and that we can't know nothing about it, and it has nothing to do with us. It might be our enemy might not need to know something. If only the American people were to know about Project Mogul in the 50s, it would be fine. But if the United States releases something, it's not just going to us, it's going to all those different foreign countries, and the government could not reveal that at that time because of the situation. And I was going to do an episode on this about UFO. Maybe we can, about UFOs. But Area 51 is, fun fact for you, is just an Air Force base that is used to conduct and make secret Air Force projects. And like we saw the new Air Force plane that came out. I have no idea what it's called, and I'm not even going to try to say it. But it came out around last year, and that's what they were working on in Area 51. It has nothing to do with extraterrestrial life or aliens. And
that's disappointing.
And the thing that landed on the rancher's property in Roswell, New Mexico, was an air balloon that picked up nuclear signals conducted by Project Mogul, which we couldn't know about at the time. So that sums up Area 51 for you. So that conspiracy theory is over for the rest of time. But about the drones in New Jersey, that may be something that we can't know anything about until a certain time because of different foreign nations finding out. It could just be random tests that just tests that agencies do like that. Or it could be something bigger, but I fully trust, at least on this one, the American government and the Trump administration revealing stuff like that. Because like I said, he's focused on government transparency.
Yeah. No, that's something interesting, especially compared to the last presidency. Yeah, I think there was a lot going on that maybe even the executive branch didn't know about in the last presidency. But I think with Trump, just even his personality, I think there's going to be a lot more of the government just being real with us and the rest of the world. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Like did a nuclear reactor go off? What's going on? Turn your mic on.
They were just testing out the newest Air Force piece of machinery. It's all good.
Okay. Oliver is a secret CIA operative. He's testing nuclear reactors in his bedroom. What were we talking about before the nuclear reactor went off?
Transparency.
Yes. Trump signed the executive order to release the files and information that remains about the MLK, RFK, and JFK and KFC's assassination files. So we'll see what happened. There's a lot of K's and KF and JF.
I don't know about that last
It just
one.
fits right in there, KFC. But what do they think was sketchy about the MLK assassination? From what I've heard, he was just shot by a sniper, which they soon caught while he was in his window balcony.
No, I'm not really caught up on all of that history. I think that, I don't know. I think maybe his main goal is just to clear things up, to make sure that everybody knows everything. I'm not sure if there's an actual whodunit situation, or you know what I'm saying? Just to get things out in the open even more so, maybe.
At 6:05 p.m. on Thursday, 4th April? That makes no sense. Anyway, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot dead while standing on a balcony outside his second-floor room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. News of King's assassination prompted major outbreaks of racial violence, resulting in more than 40 deaths nationwide and extensive property damage. So, Martin Luther King Jr. was a very controversial person. You know what I mean? And I feel like when someone is assassinated like that, that stuff like conspiracies are always going to come up. And like you said, whether there's something or there isn't about the assassination, Trump is going to reveal everything. Mm-hmm. And with the JFK assassination files, I think there's something, but we won't get into that today. And as for the RFK assassination, I really don't know much about that. I know he was exiting a speech and then he was going through his hotel surrounded by a crowd of people. And from what I heard, he was shot in cold blood by a shooter in the crowd and along with someone else. And he was shortly, I don't know if they killed him or arrested him afterwards. But like I said, Trump is focused on government transparency, and we do know that in his first term, he signed some sort of order that made the RFK and JFK assassination files come out. So I think he's tried to do that before, but we'll see if it actually happens this time. But I know things like that can take a fraction of Congress to decide.
So it looks like there are a few theories, including the mafia, which is no surprise. But then one even says the CIA could have been involved in that. And I don't know about that.
I have a theory, which is not completely mine, but we'll talk about it after the episode because I don't want to. I know you're probably listening right now, and it was a very great theory.
Is this about birds again?
I'm not going to. No, it's not about birds. It's a very excellent theory, and it gives a lot of explanation. But I don't think we might not get the JFK or the RFK or the MLK assassination files at all, because, like I said, in Trump's last term, he tried to release them, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But this time, he will definitely fight to get them out. And you know, the government is like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things might still not be revealed because people who do want to assassinate a president or know more about Secret Service operations, that might reveal something to the public, like a certain method that the Secret Service uses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that would reveal something to someone who would want to assassinate the president, and that wouldn't be good for protection in general.
But I think with the Senate and the House being on his side, I bet he will get more done in that area. But I think some of his push probably is just because of the little era of racism we're in, where he's just trying to, like I said, just clear things up in that area.
I thought that Trump was going to get a lot more of Congress, but he barely got the vote in the Senate and barely got the vote in the House. A lot of things, like I said, need more than 0.5%, And some Republicans might not vote for one of Trump's things that require voting. But I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next 4 years. He'll definitely get a lot of stuff done. And I was surprised that, well, we're not gonna go on that. We're talking about government surveillance. I almost got sidetracked into something. But a lot of people say that anytime, and Hollywood has depicted this, anytime you're on the internet or using anything with Wi-Fi or cell service, the government can track that and see it. And I just wonder, how secure are our devices and our phones and our laptops? Does the government have access to see what?
I think a lot of what we do can be accessed. I mean, even an individual, one person can create a network, and if you connect to that Wi-Fi, then they have way more than you would want them to. So it is as simple as that. And something I'm sure you knew, but I just found out recently that YouTube, if you want to get paid, they want a picture of your ID. So things like that is like platforms and social media, they have a lot of our information that we don't even think about. Simple things like facial recognition and fingerprints on phones that actually had that.
But I wonder what, like you mentioned, YouTube, I wonder how much corporations like Google and Apple and Facebook and Amazon and all those different big tech companies, I wonder if they collaborate with the government on privacy stuff. I know there was one instance where the CIA asked Apple to unlock and infiltrate an iPhone that they needed to conduct a criminal investigation, and they refused because of the privacy of the victim.
Well, that's an interesting thought right there.
That's just one thing. That's just one thing that we know about. But could companies like Google have to have some sort of agreement with them that says, hey, if anything goes through you by American citizens, we have to be able to have the right to surveillance it, or you cannot use your servers. That is a kind of a out there theory, but what do we know? There are so many things that have been revealed to us that we never knew before. And with the age that we live in and all of the technology that's out there, there could be a lot of things that we don't know about. Like I said, not birds with cameras in their eyes, but simple stuff like Google and our phones.
Well,
it's just out there.
So I found that, I mean, according to one source, I found that the NSA, remember we talked about X key score, but another program that they have to conduct surveillance is PRISM. And if I understood it right, PRISM has actually already gotten permission from a lot of those companies and platforms that you mentioned, like Google, Facebook, and Yahoo, to collect intelligence that they come across. So, I mean, that's already there. They don't have to ask permission for that. But it's interesting what you said about Apple and how they denied access to that, when in movies, like you said, they just type a few things and then suddenly they have access, but it's a lot more complicated than that.
Like on the keyboard, and then they have access to everything. I don't know. Like I said, there's a whole lot of theories and a whole lot of stuff out there that could be possible. And with AI, that's its own thing. Have you ever? There are a lot of films about it. Have you ever seen the film Eagle Eye?
Yes, I've forgotten about that when you say AI.
You have.
Oh yeah.
But if you haven't seen the film, it's basically this huge AI that the government, made, I guess. And then it went rogue, and it can control anything, and it has access to pretty much anything electronic. And it is creepy, but the AI has capability to do that. Like sometimes ChatGPT scares you. It's like, whoa, how did you know that?
Yeah.
But that could be integrated into so many things that we don't know about. And that's another topic about AI.
Well, what is your opinion on the Echo Dot, Alexa? Do you think that's always listening?
Well, I don't think it's always recording, but it always has its mic on and it's always listening for the wake word Alexa. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're recording us, because recording is different from listening. If I'm listening to your voice, then it's just going, well, I guess I'm not a robot. But everything that Alexa hears and comes through its mic, it's not recording and it's not obtaining. The only thing it's looking for is, Alexa, play the Jack Atwood podcast. Sorry, I was going to see if that worked. But I don't know. I believe that if the government and Amazon wanted to, they could have some sort of integration that could allow them to listen through Alexa. I don't know if they have that capability all the time, but if they needed to, whether it was Amazon or the U.S. conducting a investigation, I think they could have the ability to use an Echo Dot or some device like that or a cell phone to obtain dialogue and information from a conversation.
I mean, we already know that they're very biased, almost as liberal as its maker. I mean, did you hear about that guy that asked Alexa who he should vote for in the election? If he should vote for... Do you know the story?
No.
If you should vote for Trump, he said, Alexa, why should I vote for Trump? And it came back with, well, I can't provide you with that information. You have to choose for yourself, basically. And then it said again, okay, why should I vote for Harris? And then it came up with all these reasons why it would be great to have Harris in office. So just for that reason, I think it's pretty safe to say that AI is already very biased.
Yeah. Some companies that make AIs like that are, some aren't, and some have no idea what's going on, like Alexa half the time. Alexa, what is, like, you'll ask Alexa something, and it'll take a word from the sentence and just say something about that. And it's like, hey, Alexa, how long do I boil these beans for? And then it'll tell you, beans are grown in fields and stuff. It is... have you all ever had problems like that?
My main problem is it hearing my voice in the first place. It's always listening when I don't want it to. It wakes up, and then it's never listening when I want it to. The Hey Siri never works for me, ever.
Yeah.
Mine just worked. I just proved myself wrong.
Well, because I have all Apple. You don't, frankly. But
that's true, we don't.
So what Siri can actually do, because Hey Siri works on my laptop, but what my laptop can do is, because it's connected to my phone, it turns off the Siri on my laptop and only goes to my phone. So if I say here, Hey Siri, on my laptop, it'll come up and then go away fast and then only work on my phone. Because all the devices are connected, basically. It works. And with the new update, we mentioned it in the AI episode. It was the third episode, I think. Or was it the second or third that we talked about AI?
You talking about including the Forge episodes?
That just makes it complicated. Anyway, we had an episode about the AI, and we mentioned the new Siri and Apple update. That has really helped a lot. And I think Siri has improved since then. Like, I'll ask it a question, it'll say, and I have it in this British voice that sounds like it's the narrator from Peppa Pig and not like Jarvis from Iron Man. But it'll be like, good morning, Jack. And I'm like, how do you know my name? Like, whoa. And I probably gave it to it at some point. Whoops. But things like that are always, technically, I'm doing air quotes. Things like that are always technically listening, but they're not necessarily recording. They're just listening for that one wake word, whether it's Alexa or Siri or Hey Google. It's not recording what you're saying. The government can use that if they want to, I think. But I don't think that they're trying to listen in on our conversations.
Yeah.
Like, why would you? All my conversations are like...
Yeah, I don't want to know about all your conversations. But yeah, I think when they don't have recordings, obviously, I mean, I think they just really, the process is picking a person and then monitoring. I mean, they don't monitor all of us just to make sure they approve of what we had for breakfast that day.
Like, unless you're building nuclear reactors like Oliver is, they won't be listening in on your home Alexa.
Yeah, they'll probably start listening now.
Oh, man. But surprisingly, people like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Rogan, they were at Trump's inauguration. And I know Democrats or Republicans can show up at people's inaugurations, but these guys weren't politicians. These were CEOs of huge companies that are huge liberals. I mean, it's because they can, they're appealing to Trump, and Trump can help them.
Yeah.
And they support him. Whether their values don't match with Trump or not, they can get him. Trump can get them the most money, and for that, they'll support him.
That's true. I mean, people can't deny that the economy has been a lot better in Trump's presidency than the Biden administration. That, and they probably didn't want Musk to, or they were jealous of him because he got to sit up with the Trump family.
Yeah. Did you see? We'll talk about it at the end of the episode. I'm not going to get sidetracked. That's one of the things I do, get sidetracked. How far do you think AI will go? I mean, like you see in movies that are more futuristic, like the MCU, and these AIs can do everything, like scan your face. And do you think all of that will be integrated, like, say, in the next 20 years? Because if they do, I think that electronic privacy is going to be completely gone by then. Do you think the AIs are advanced now? I think about in the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. But I think a lot of that is already more advanced than we think. I mean, think about more of the government-related things like retinal scans or facial recognition. The things that they have to use may become the things that we have to use, like for phones. It may get a lot more technical, how we access our laptops, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of that is already there. It's just a matter of when will it get to the average citizen. That, and I think they're already working on, and you may know about this more than I do, but on a robot that looks like a human that obviously is AI, but acts just like a person does. So they're already working to advance that in physical form. And I think the next step is to get what is being used by the government down to us.
I had nothing to say after that.
Okay.
Can we ever completely get off the grid? Like people are like, let's get off the grid, and then they're like on their phones all the time. And I think that the government has some sort of catalog of people. I mean, not like they can look through and see our hair color and know all the things, but you can't completely get off the grid. That's not really the thing. You've been born, which is something you can't undo. If you have a driver's license, you can't really undo that. And you have all these things that you have records of, and then you have your phone, and then you have all the things that you enter your name into. I don't think you can ever completely get off the grid. I don't think anyone can. I think that there's too many electronics that are built into our life that we can't really get rid of. And all these records that are that we can't help, like birth records and license, we can't do anything about that.
I think we live in a very secure nation, and that's, to some people, that can be a bad thing. To me, it's an awesome thing, because we've had not many, compared to other countries, we've done pretty well. So I think just by living here, you give up some of your privacy, knowing that it is to prevent terrorism and issues, domestic and foreign.
Yeah, not all the stuff that's kept secret from us isn't because of us. It's for us to protect us, like Project Merlin. They didn't reveal it to us, or no, not Project Merlin, Project Mogul. They didn't reveal it to us wasn't because it was UFOs or extraterrestrial life, which I don't know why they'd keep it from us anyway. It was because those secrets could not be revealed to foreign powers. It had nothing to do with us or anything sketchy like that. But the main thing that it boils down to is, what do we not know about right now? Because there's always something going on. I mean, the NSA and CIA are doing something that's not. They have to be doing something.
Well, when you said that, I thought about how, I mean, we know that the NSA has access to activity on Facebook. And we know that Facebook monitors activity that they don't agree with, like very conservative comments or things like that. So through that, I think it's safe to say that the NSA and CIA do have access to, well, we know they have access, but I think they can put us in boxes and we're more accessible what we do just because of the kind of content we make available on those platforms.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if I'm saying anything, welcome to the Star Expo. But my main question is, there are undoubtedly stuff that we don't know about now that the U.S. government will reveal it to us later, like Project Merlin. We never knew about that when it was going on. About Project Mogul, we didn't know about that when it was going on. And there could be things going on that will be revealed to us 10, 20, 30 years later. But it's meant to protect us, I think. And what a lot of people think is that they're surveillancing us and making sure we're not doing anything illegal. But it's to protect us, and it's to catch the actual criminals and people who are actually doing stuff.
Yeah. I honestly don't think, if there was things like Operation Merlin going on, I honestly don't think it was any time in the past 4 years. Maybe the 4 years before that. But I don't think the main objective of the previous presidency was to prevent terrorism. I think they had more domestic issues and they were more focused on domestic issues. So I don't think anything as drastic as Operation Merlin was going on recently, but I think that's definitely ahead of us. And just thinking about what Israel did with what did they make explode? That they gave the pagers. Thank you.
And their walkie-talkies.
And their walkie-talkies.
Like 2 days later.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's possible that we may have known about that. Probably not. But I think it is interesting that things like that are going on, and we just don't know about it until it happens. But probably not in the past 4 years. That's my opinion, anyway.
I'm tired.
I'm tired too. Why don't you go get us some coffee?
Yes, Oliver. Creamer, please. Has to be. What's the main creamer brand that has hazelnut and stuff?
Nestle? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Nestle? I know it's called
I don't
Nestle,
know.
but I don't think that's the brand that makes the creamer.
That's embarrassing. No,
Well,
cut that part out.
I'll get her some coffee, but I know you got your free Starbucks.
I
for
do.
today.
I should have gotten it. I haven't.
Why did you get free Starbucks?
After the Super Bowl.
So if you have,
Why did you predict who won? Who would win?
if you just have the Starbucks app, you get a free drink after the Super Bowl. Day after Super Bowl, any free drink. And yeah. So
Yeah, I should have gotten that.
the key takeaways from this episode are, I'm going to move my mic over here. Hello. The government may or may not have as many capabilities as we think, but if they do, they're not using it to directly surveillance us. I think that they would be using it to surveillance criminals and foreign nations, and not us, things that protect us. It's not all about us, guys. And there are stuff we don't know about, and stuff that the government may be protecting us from, and that's what they're there for. So, do you have any takeaways?
Well, I think that after all of this, I think we've all decided that the government is using platforms and softwares to conduct surveillance on us. But I think the best thing that they can do to create a balance is to just be real with the citizens and say, yes, we are using this to conduct surveillance. And obviously not too transparent, but to a level where we know, okay, you're admitting that our information is being transferred to you. And I think
we'll see a lot more of that in the next 4 years compared to the Biden administration. But make sure to listen in every Monday. This has been the Jack Howard Podcast. Make sure to check out the Patreon. Email in if you have any topic ideas. And we do have a topic idea and mail from Ava. Atlantis is what I think she meant. We covered that actually a little bit in our very, very first episode, which was not the Jack Howard Podcast, it was The Forge, but the lost city of Atlantis. Fun fact for you, it wasn't Homer, it was, what was the poet? The Greek one. The one that wrote, yes, Aristotle. It was Aristotle.
Oh, okay.
Aristotle.
I was hoping you didn't hear that if I was wrong.
I think it was. Just don't hold us to it, guys. But he wrote about Atlantis in a tale, and what a lot of people think is that this was so long ago, maybe this city Atlantis did actually exist. And so they're looking for it and stuff like that. And I don't think it's there. I think he just came up with it like a bunch of other stuff. But that's a very interesting topic. Thank you, Ava. We might just have an episode on that just because it's so intriguing, like we were going to have on time travel. Things that may not be true are just still very interesting to talk about it. But I think that's it, guys. We'll see you on the flip side.